This recording will show how I created the map that you see on the front page. The map was created in Macromedia Flash Professional 8. So if you publish preview in Flash, you will see what you see on the front. And as you can see, there are instructions on the side. And if you press space, it goes, and if you press space again, it comes back. As you hover over each state, in yellow are the number of electoral votes the state has, and the state turns the color of whichever way it voted, whether for Obama or McCain in the final elections. Also on the side, where the instructions previously were, there is how the state voted in both the Democratic preliminary elections, whether it voted for Obama or Clinton, and in the final election, whether it voted for Obama or McCain. So if we return to the original page, which is the FLA file here, you can see the entire map here. And each one of these states is actually copied. It's the background image that you see underneath, in addition to a copy I made using the lasso tool. I just traced the outline, and I was able to pull out a copy of the state. With that copy, if you look under the properties thing, I saved it as a movie clip, which means that when you go into it, there are multiple frames at the top. And the second frame of the movie clip is what you see when you roll over it, which is the blue colored state, the 11 electoral votes, and of course the data on the side. The data is a graphic, which is titled WA. And if you go into that, you can see the entire image there. And this is made up of several text boxes with the information that changes, that varies from state to state. It is also made up of the template that I used for all of them, which simply contains the static text. Now if we go back to scene 1, make it so that when you roll over, it changes. I used ActionScript. And basically, when the clip loads, I told the movie clip to stop. Then, when the clip is rolled over or dragged over, it will play. And it'll always play fully unless you put a stop into it. And I did. So, it will stop frame 2. When you roll out, which is when you take your mouse off of the state, it will go back to frame 1, which you saw, and it will stop. So I just simply repeated that procedure 50 times for each state, and you can see under the state's info, state's images, and state's tweens, the movie clips, the info, and the images. Each image is what I cut out. Each info is the data, and each movie clip is the movement from frame 1 to 2, as you can see in the preview. So once I finished all 50 states, the final part was to create the instructions that would end up on the side. So to do that, I created an outline around the entire United States. To see the outline, it's probably going to be easiest if you lock all the other layers other than the instructions layer. And the frame 1 of the instructions layer is an outline, which is here. You can only see it when you move it because I made it invisible. If you go into this outline, you can see that frame 1 is invisible, but you can see it as a box. Frame 2 has the same invisible outline with the instructions, and both have the stop instruction on it. If we go back to scene 1, you can see the ActionScript code I put on it, which says when it loads, go to and play frame 2, which if you remember had the instructions on it. Then when you press space, it goes back and plays frame 2 again. So it starts over and it continues over and over. When I roll over the outline, which was invisible but it still counts in ActionScript, it goes back to frame 1 and it stops, which means that you won't see it anymore. The last thing I had to do was to correct a minor bug, which was when you rolled over a state and the data came up, and then pressed space, then both the data and the instructions would be up at the same time. To fix this, I went to the original state template, which I put in the folder states info. And when I opened that up, I simply added a layer of green underneath the static text. That way, whenever I rolled over any state, green layer would come up, preventing the instructions from being seen. Finally, I was ready to export. After saving the document, I went to Publish Settings, and I checked Flash and saved it as map.swf. I saved it in the folder out of front page, but in TechFair 2008 as map.swf, because that's where I had linked to in my original Dreamweaver website. Then I clicked Publish, and I was done.